Hi there, my name is Bob Davidson. I'm the Director of DYW West, that stands for Developing the Young Workforce West Region, and we work with employers and young people in Renfrewshire, East Renfrewshire, Inverclyde and Western Bartonshire. This short video today is about interviews and it is aimed at helping young people in early careers, such as school leavers, going through their first interviews, trying to get a job for the first time. So hopefully the information that I'm going to share with you today is not going to contradict anything you've heard, and you'll find lots of information online such as on My World of Work or through other sources such as Barclays Life Skills. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on some hints and tips for what you should do before, during and after an interview. Okay? So in terms of before an interview, from my experience, so I've had quite a few jobs and I've interviewed lots of young people and employed lots of young people, so I've got lots of experience in this area. I would recommend for anybody in any interview, but especially for young people, maybe not had an interview before, you really need to do your preparation. You need to think in advance. Okay, how can I find out information about the company? So this assumes that you've applied for a position and you've had notification either by a text message, an email, a phone call that you have an interview at a certain time, at a certain place, on a certain day. So you need to be prepared. It's fairly simpler for young people to do research now than it was, say, when I was young. I would have to go to a library and read up on companies. Young people can now go online, go onto websites, go onto a company's social media and find out some interesting recent news maybe about the organisation, such as, is there a new person in charge? Have they bought over another organisation? Have they won a new contract? Have they opened a new store? Have they brought out a new product? That sort of thing. So you need to do your research in advance. You need to think what you're going to wear. Okay, what you wear is important. Okay, I'm not going to go into the specifics of what you should wear other than you need to be well presented. You need to be neat, clean and tidy. Okay, you don't necessarily want to wear, for example, say you were going to get a job in a shop and you know everybody in that store dresses dead casually. But for the interview, I would recommend you go smart, okay? And you can talk to family, friends in terms of what that means, or again, you can do research online. I wouldn't expect anybody to be going out and buying, for example, a new suit for an interview, especially when you're young. If you don't have something suitable, look to borrow from friends or family, okay? How are you going to get there is really important as well. Don't just wing it and assume it in the day. Oh yeah, I know that interview is up in such and such a place. Oh yeah, I know roughly where that is. You don't want to increase the risk of being late, okay? So you need to plan how you're going to get there. Is there roadworks there? Are you walking? Are you getting a lift? Are you getting a taxi? Are you going by bus? Are you going by train? Don't be late. It's very, very important. First impressions matter. So if you have an interview at 11 o'clock in the morning, don't arrive late. I would recommend entering the building and being at the, if there's a reception area, that you're there about 5 minutes before. So for an 11 a.m. interview, you'll be there at 10:55. Don't go there at 10:30 and say, hi, my name's Bob, I'm here for an interview at 11. You're half an hour early. They might be interviewing other people. There might be nowhere for them to put you. Chances are, if they can, they'll say take a seat, but they might say you need to come back in like 25 minutes, okay? And if you are going to be late for reasons out with your control, the bus is broke down, the train is broke down, there's been an accident on the road, you must phone ahead. Don't arrive late and say, oh sorry I was late, there was an accident, because they'll just assume from that you haven't thought ahead. So in order to do that, you need to think, I need a phone, I need charging my phone, I need the number of the company, I need the name of the person that I have to ask for at reception, okay? So that's quite a lot of things for a young person that's never done that before. So arriving on time is really, really important. So at the start of the interview, so you've went to reception and the person has come down that's going to interview you, okay? That first few seconds, and it's roughly 7 seconds, that person will subconsciously, based on your appearance, how you present yourself, your handshake, your eye contact, whether they think you're suitable for working in that firm. Are you going to be a good representation of that organisation? So it's really important that you practice your handshake. Hi, my name is Bob, pleased to meet you. A smile, say your name clearly, say their name clearly if they've introduced themselves and said their names. And a good firm handshake, not a limp, sort of weak, sloppy handshake, a good firm handshake. Not a bone crusher, but again, that's something that you want to practice with family and friends if you can. It's really important. Those first few seconds can make or break the rest of the interview. And again, practice makes perfect, okay? So you're in the interview, sit down, try not to fidget, get comfortable, okay? Make sure your phone's off, okay, or on silent at the very least, okay? And you need to look interested and sound interesting. So when the person's talking to you, you need to be nodding your head the odd time and looking as if you're listening. And when you're talking, you don't just want to talk like that and read out things a very monotone. You need to alter your pitch, use pauses, emphasise points you want to get across. And that is a bit of a craft. That takes time and it takes practice, but practice you're able to do, especially if it's for a role that you really, really want, that you're passionate about, okay? One of the first questions, especially for young people in early careers, is, so tell me a bit about yourself. So you need to say in a minute, 2 minutes max, a little bit about yourself and why you want that position. So chances are you've filled in an application form or sent in your CV, so they know your name, they know where you live. So it's not that sort of stuff. It's why you're passionate about that position, okay? And if say, for example, you're applying for a job to stack shelves in the supermarket, they're not expecting you to be passionate about that, okay? That's where you're looking to gain experience about the world of work, your own independence, or if you are interested in a career in retail, that's a stepping stone into that, okay? You need to practice responses to questions that you're going to get asked, in addition to the tell me about yourself. And you might want to use a thing called the STAR technique, and you can Google that. I'm not going to go into the details of that. That is an acronym. It stands for the situation, the task, the action, and the result. Okay, so explain a bit about the situation you were in, the task, what you were asked to do, the action, what you did, and the result, what happened at the end as a result of the action that you took doing that task in that situation. Okay, so you're getting towards the end of the interview, and the interviewer might say, do you have any questions to ask me? This again is a very, very important point of the interview. And most interviews towards the end, especially for young people in their early career, they'll be looking forward to the interview ending. Interviews are nervous for everybody, including the interviewer, regardless of your age. You need to ask a couple of questions, okay? One's good but not ideal. 2 to 3 is perfect. 4, 5, 6 is probably too many because the interview is dragging on. Okay, so a couple of questions up your sleeve. That's not sensitive or insensitive. It's not going to upset or annoy the interviewer. I wouldn't ask things like, how much will I get paid? That's hopefully a good employer will have explained that, or it's been shared in the information when you applied for the position. A great question to ask is, can you tell me what a typical day would be like? So you've put the ball back into the interviewer's court, and they're going to tell you and talk to you about examples of things that you could be doing, and hopefully it's going to sound interesting. And if it is, then maybe even more, and that's a position that you're interested in. So the interview has ended. Good handshake, thanks very much. If they haven't talked about next steps and how they're going to get in contact with you and by when, again, that's another question that you'd want to ask right at the very, very end. So you're now home, the interview is finished, but has it? What else can you do to make you be the memorable person? I would recommend that only if it's for a position you really want, or it's important to your, if you have a plan for your future career and you really want this to gain experience, that you contact the interviewer and just to say, It's Bob here. Thanks very much for the opportunity to interview. And now, following the interview, I'm now even more keen and excited about the possibility of working with that organisation. Short and sweet, no spelling mistakes, no grammar errors, nice and polite. Okay? And you finish it with your name and your telephone number, ideally, making it easy for them to get in contact with you. If they get in touch with you and you've got the job, fantastic, well done. But I'm not going to lie, realistically you're going to have lots of interviews where you're not going to be successful, and that is a situation and the case for most people. Okay, not everybody that gets interviewed gets every job they get interviewed for. If people are telling you that's the case with them, well, good luck to them, but chances are they might be telling a wee porcupine. I would, if they offer you feedback, I would take that feedback. If they haven't offered it, there's no harm in asking it. A lot of companies say due to the amount of applications we're not allowed to offer feedback, and that's fine, you have to respect that. But even if you get feedback that's short and sweet, take it on the chin. It might say things like, we're looking for somebody a wee bit more confident, you didn't really put across your experience too well. Or we're looking for somebody with a bit more life experience, etc. That sort of stuff. And one way to gain that, so when you are talking about yourself during the interview, in the question where they've said, oh, tell me a bit about yourself, make sure you're saying things and using language that is key to the position that you're applying for. Okay, so if you're a young person that has, I just go to school and hang about with my pals and I don't do anything else, then, and there's lots of people in that situation, it's not just yourself. You need to think about, how can I make myself more interesting to a potential employer? How can I gain life experience to show that I'm investing in improving my skills? Okay, so that's why people that interview you are always interested in what clubs you're in, what school teams you're in. So it's looking for participation in things, leadership. For example, if you've been the school team captain in whatever, whether it's a sport or a club, you know, drama club, music club, dance club, art club, rugby team, football team, hockey team, whatever. If you're in the cadets, army cadets, sea cadets, or you're passionate about your own hobby, you love photography, you love designing your own games, you love art, you love learning to play a musical instrument, or things that show responsibility and independence. You might have a pet and you're the one that walks it, you're the one that feeds it. Talk about that. If you help care for a loved one, another family member that lives with you, that's really important. You know, if you volunteer, volunteering is highly regarded by employers, because a good employer knows that it's hard to gain relevant experience. So if you're able to get volunteering experience, especially in a sector related to the career you're interested in, that is worth a lot. It is really, really valuable. It shows that you're giving up your own time, not getting paid for it, and it might be for a community or global cause or something you're really passionate about. That is worth its weight in gold and really, really powerful. So I think that's me. I hope you found this interesting. It's taken me about 13 minutes to get through all this. I wish you all the best in your interviews. I'd recommend you play this back, pause it, write down some notes, go to other sources that I mentioned at the start, such as My World of Work, Barclays Life Skills, dYWS.co.uk has some interview hints and tips, and a interview mind map which covers all the points I've mentioned in this short video in the resources section of our website. I wish you all the best and good luck in all your future interviews. Thank you very much.